Hello, this is Alex Calvo Garcia. You're listening to the Iron Hour podcast.
Iron fans, once again, welcome to the Iron Hour podcast. It's your host, as always, here, Barra. I'm joined by, two of my usual panel, and making her full debut after a permanent transfer over, we have the wonderful Becky. How are you doing, Becky?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for joining the team. You are now a permanent member of the Iron Hour podcast, and you join Marco, who isn't here today, and the other two members of the Riff Raff. We have published author Max Bell.
I prefer Riff Raff.
Yeah, well, both things are true. And the People's Princess, everybody's favourite vlogger, Iron Army. Gareth,
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm even better for seeing you, Gareth. I do love you.
Love you too.
Well, somebody's got to. Right, let's jump straight into it, guys. Where else to start other than we are top of the league? A fantastic performance on Friday night in 2-0. I won't say demolition, but we did a job on Kidderminster. Nearly 5,000 fans in attendance there on Friday night for a fantastic affair. The end-to-end game, wasn't it, Garen?
It was. It was really good. I enjoyed it. One of the best games I've seen in a long time. Just both teams came to play football. And it was nice to see Kidderminster just wanting to play with the ball as well and not sit back and, let us break them down, which happens quite a lot with other teams. So, yeah, really enjoyed it. Great atmosphere, great game of football.
Yeah, fantastic night. Becky, one thing Andy Butler said in his post-match interview was that it could have been a League One, League Two fixture, two teams of really high quality, really high calibre. From what you've seen on Friday, do you expect to see both ourselves and Kidderminster at the top end of the table come April?
Absolutely. They did have their number 9 out as well. Like you said previously, I didn't enjoy it like Gareth did. I thought it was really nerve-wracking, and I kept getting flashbacks of Solihull at home. So I sat down and I was on the edge of my seat most of it. But yeah, no, I can see us being up there, absolutely. Kidderminster were a force to be reckoned with. I don't think the scoreline does it justice. I think they could have easily got 1 or 2 themselves. I just think it's a finishing product, the end product that helped us, and how strong we was at the back. Evans always had Max's back. You've got Brad Nicholson that was in there. They are just a great headache to have when you're choosing a squad, to be fair.
Max, one thing Becky picked up on there was kind of that she thought, it could have been a draw potentially. There was a lot of missed chances that we kind of didn't put away, though. How did you think the scoreline reflected the events that you'd seen?
I thought the difference was in that first 20 minutes of the second half, we upped the tempo, moved the ball quickly, and just had that moment of quality we needed in the final third. I know Barrow sometimes has his critics. Does he have enough quality to be a wing back rather than a full back? Crossing for the first goal was brilliant. Great movement from Beeston. Really anticipated it, didn't hang back, made the darting run for the near post. But I do also agree with Becky. I thought you could tell that Kidderminster's main striker was out. I did think for large parts of the first half when they were getting the ball wide and then when they were really chasing the game at 2-0, that they did miss a big target, man. I mean, personally, my man of the match for us was Danny Whitehall. He did everything I want a big striker to do. He was big, he was strong, he was quick. And sometimes people, often unfairly, criticise Whitehall's work rate out of possession. Not on Friday night. I thought he really ran himself, chasing centre halves, pressing. He did everything. And frankly, I think if he'd been on Kidderminster's side and we'd been missing a big number 9, like Becky said, it wouldn't have surprised me if the result had not been what it was.
And Gareth, Max has kind of picked out Danny Whitehall there. Was there a Scunny player that stood out for you?
Denton, when he came on, it was unfortunate for Kelly to go off injured, but I don't think it's as bad as was first feared from what I've been hearing today. But no, I thought Denton played really well, and the ball up to Whitehall for the second goal, was it Scales' goal? That ball crossfield, unbelievable. So, but no, I thought he played really well to come in and do what he did. He stood out for me. Others will. In all fairness, everybody put a shift in, so you could have picked anybody out, really. They all put a shift in. But I'll say Denton.
Interesting. Becky, it was a game of missed chances for Kidderminster, but also for us, I thought at 2-0, Carlton had that chance where he could have put us 3-0 up, and it's kind of been blazed over. How would you rate his start in an iron shirt so far?
I think it was excellent. I think he came on and the speed even shocked me. He went forward with the ball. I think he's confident. I just think he needs a bit more game time. Just to go back a little bit, I really rated Will Evans on Friday. And can we just say how good Ross Fitzsimmons is at the moment? He is beyond good. And I've always been a massive fan of Ross Fitzsimmons. Is it Ross Fitzsimmons or is it Ross Fitzsimons? I've heard so many different names for this guy. Whenever I listen to a radio,
I'm sticking with
else.
I know, I'm sticking with Ross Fitzsimmons.
I think so.
Yeah. I think
I really like Carlton, and he's quite fast. He gets in there. Back to Danny Whitehall, he was very unselfish on Friday. He passed a lot of balls. He made play a lot more. So I think he's coming into his stride, and I think he's going to be one of the top men that we need this season.
Max, on the last podcast, we spoke about Phil Brown and potentially him being the X factor for Kidderminster this season. He said in his post-match interview that he was kind of disappointed with Kidderminster's abandoning of their game plan, and he described it as them, being taught a lesson from Scunthorpe. Does that kind of line up with what you'd seen?
Well, I mean, given the chinos he was wearing, I thought he might have been on the X Factor. Never mind, been the X Factor himself. I mean, look, as much as he can be a feature of fun sometimes, he will know his players better than we do. So sometimes when you lose, you need a little bit of needle. Sometimes when you win, you need that. Actually, some wins don't necessarily meet the standard of what you're looking for in a perfect performance if you're running for promotion. But I was really pleased. It was a performance all round that I just thought it clicked. We looked good out of possession. We took the chances when we can. Okay, we missed a couple of chances, but as you yourself said there, Barra, it was already really at 2-0 at that point. So, look, there's still a long, long way to go. If we're going to be needing, 95, 96 points, I mean, Tamworth last season got 95 to win the league, then you can't miss many games. You can't drop off many times. The form at the start of this season has been really good so far, but we're going to have to still be saying that at the end of April.
Gareth, I thought the vlog actually on Friday was fantastic. You always do an excellent job, of course you do, but I thought it was actually one of your better ones in terms of really kind of capturing the emotion of the day. It's early on in the season, we know. It was August, okay? The back end of August, but it did feel like a big game. However, I am wary because Max had said on the last podcast, whether we win, whether we lose, one night in August won't define where we finish really come the end of April. Do you think we should be a bit wary and not read too much into what we saw on Friday night?
No, I think we can read into it. I think we can take it. It's building on it. If we can build on that, we're laying the foundations down this past month. We've got to keep building on it and doing better and picking up points still. We've got tough games coming up this month against teams. And but I think we can, look at that Friday night performance and think, yeah, all performances need to be up there like that. The intensity in the second half, like Max said earlier, we stepped it up. That 20-minute spell, we looked really good, really dominant, fast, and it's strong, And if we can replicate that in the rest of the games through the season, then we're not going to go far wrong, But in the first 20 minutes of the game, the passing was a bit atrocious. We were to them, loose balls going round, and luckily it didn't last that long. But there's still things that we can do better, and that's one of them.
I think we need to take advantage of the fact that there's so many games being played in August, September, and that we're one of the full-time squads. I think we need to take a lot of advantage of that, because we need to remember we played Friday, and then was it Monday? No, can't remember when we played, but we've played quite consecutively. And obviously had the break, we put it on Friday to go instead of Saturday, so we could have a bit more break for Tuesday. But we need to take advantage of the guys that are playing part-time, unfortunately, having all that game time, and they'll get tired legs. So we need to make use of that.
Yeah, we played Saturday,
That's
4-day Monday, and then straight into the fixture on Friday night, as you say, to give us that extra day recovery for tomorrow, for Tuesday's fixture against Curzon Ashton. Max, I kind of built Kidderminster up last week. Two players I was really looking forward to watching was Max Couillard and Seb Blake Thompson. But I kind of felt like they were marked out of the game a little bit, if I'm being honest. They kind of failed to deliver, and Couillard got the dreaded hooker towards the end of the game. One player that probably didn't disappoint for me, and he's been phenomenal this season for us, has been Cian Scales, and he made the non-league papers team of the day over the weekend, and Butler made manager of the day as well. So how much do you rate Scales so far this season, and how pleased was you to see his extension effectively putting him here for another 2 seasons?
Was pleased with the extension. I think particularly of the fact that it was a pretty open secret that he wasn't on a fortune. He wasn't one of the players who'd signed big contracts coming from a bigger club than ourselves potentially. So I think he's really earned that, and that is something that I think Scunthorpe United has always been about. No matter what reputation you have when you come in the door, it's about the work rate, it's about the performances, it's about what you deliver on the pitch that defines whether or not you're a success at this club, and whatever next steps you take in your career. I think he's a central midfielder. I know he's filled in a couple of times at right wing back. I'm not necessarily sure that's his natural position for him, particularly against a big, physical, strong side who try and get the ball wide, particularly somebody like Chorley. But I've been impressed with his work rate. I think he runs and he runs and he runs and he runs. Particularly in his early career, he probably reminds me a bit of Matt Sparrow, just in terms of the kind of profile he is, a little bit of flexibility out wide, and just that engine. But I thought Gareth hit the nail on the head there. We can all highlight 1 or 2 players who really ticked boxes for us on the Friday night, but it was the team performance. There wasn't anybody I looked at and thought, you've had a bit of a stinker tonight. And I know Carlton missed just over the bar, but I thought Becky was right. He's pacing behind. I don't mind a striker trying to shoot early. If anything, it's the reverse that annoys me sometimes as a fan. So, it ticked a lot of boxes ahead of what's going to be another big, tough game on Tuesday.
Well, looking ahead to Tuesday's game, we visit Curzon Ashton, a team that finished 7th last season, made the playoffs and lost in the quarterfinals to Chorley, who eventually lost themselves at the hands of Brackley. Be a really tough game. We know what to expect really from Curzon. They're quite a direct team. I think one of the goals on Saturday in the 2-1 victory was the result of a corner. An interesting game that actually. It was a good victory for them on Saturday, 2-1 away at Rushall Olympic. They did miss a few chances. Isaac Buckley-Ricketts put them 1-0 up on 57 minutes. And would you believe the equaliser for Rushall came at the hands of Jerry McDonough? He equalised via the penalty spot. But then Curzon did go on and get the win just 5 minutes later, scoring Adam Barton, Curzon's player there, scoring from a corner kick. So we know what to expect. They're quite direct. They can be quite in your face. Last season, I think you made the trip, didn't you, Becky?
God, yeah. Curzon have nothing to lose. So they have the confidence, like you said, against the win against Rushall. Plus, in the back of their minds, they know they beat us at their own ground last season. So I think they're going to come out eager to get all 3 points. They didn't believe they could last season. They came out and it was a very hard game. It was very wet. I thought personally it should have been abandoned, but we'll not go into that. But I do think they're going to come out fighting and raging, just like Kidderminster did. I think they're going to be up there, and I think they're going to be a tough test.
Gareth, we know they're a pretty disciplined team at the back.
Hmm.
Craig Mann has them playing in quite a tight role, but last season we did have chances at their place. And was it Danny Elliott hit the bar with that header? Is that right?
I can't remember that. I can't remember what I did last week.
It's
I
right,
think-
Gareth. I'm leading you on to talking to me
I know
about.
you are. I know what my memory's like. It's not very good, especially when Debbie's asking questions. But no, they're disciplined. You know, they get bodies behind the ball, flood the midfield, from what I remember. But no, they are disciplined. It will be a tough game. You know, they're going to want to beat us again. Having done it twice already, they'll want that 3 times. So yeah, it's not. I don't think it'll be an easy game. But if we can play our game, said before, if we play our game and just soak up any pressure that they put on us in that first 10, 15 minutes, then I think, you know, we can turn the tide and go forward ourselves and put them under pressure. I am expecting us to win.
Wow, that is a bold prediction. So, of the 3 games we've got this month, we have Curzon away, Warrington at home, and Scarborough away. You're putting 3 points on Tuesday's game at Curzon. What do you think of the other 2 games, Gareth?
3 points.
So, win 1, lose 1?
No. Win 3.
Ooh.
That's 9 points, that, buddy.
Wow.
Yeah, no,
Very positive today.
I am very positive. I've had a good day at work, good day at home. I'm full of positivity. No, I genuinely think if we play like we play and we know we can play and just, you know, keep moving forward, then yeah, I'm going for 9 points out of the 3 league games in September. People can shoot me down, but, you know, let's see where we are at the end of September.
Max, do you share Gareth's optimism?
Look, on paper, particularly off the back of good performances, I can totally understand why you think, right, we'll keep winning. I could see Tuesday being another banana skin, to be honest. They obviously took 6 points off us last season. I think you could make a case that Curzon finishing in the playoffs was just as great an effort as Tamworth winning the league. You know, their average home crowd, in terms of the actual number of home fans that were getting through the door for games, was about 250. They lost their manager halfway through the season to Kings Lynn and still managed to finish in the playoffs. So, which, you know, for a side that financially would be struggling to compete at the league below is a phenomenal effort, really. But look, we didn't score against them last season. Next 3 games, I'll go for 4 points. We do have to lose at some point, sadly.
Who do you think we might lose to? Scarborough?
Yeah.
Warrington.
No, I'll go Scarborough. I'll go point at Curzon, beat Warrington, lose at Scarborough.
Yeah. And Becky, we were just talking about the upcoming fixtures there. The tickets went on sale on Sunday for the away fixture at Scarborough. The only allocation, I think, was it 600 or 650?
700, I think it was.
Was sold out within 90 minutes to, I think, about 2 hours. It's just typical, really, isn't it, of kind of the fan base that we've got. Was you at all surprised to see those tickets sell out so quick?
No, not really. Scarborough is a big one for us. It's a great place to go. Last year we stayed over. We had a real good laugh. A lot of other Scunny fans stayed over. Luckily, it's fell in a good month for us, so it's still quite warm. And the way we're playing, I think we'll take a fair few hundred anywhere we go. I mean, like I said, we've got Newcastle Town soon. I think we'll sell out there. If we keep playing like we're playing, we're actually enjoying watching the football this season, and that's the difference between last season, I think. Coming into National League North last season, we didn't know what to expect. There was we're going to piss the league half, and then the other half of the fans were very cautious. This season, we seem to be a lot more gelled together. We have our cards in place, so I think we're going to take quite a lot everywhere, and it'd be good as well.
Well, just looking back to our away attendances so far this season, we sold out the 600 plus allocation at Brackley. Took 400 to Needham Market on a Tuesday night, by the way, that's just insane. And then we saw that our, was it 450 allocation at South Shields on that bank holiday Monday, where we're all rammed into that corner. The support this season has been absolutely second to none. Max, Butler certainly does seem to have the blessing of the fans and the goodwill of the fans. Do you think if we went on a little bit of a bad run, do you think the tide might turn at all with regards to the goodwill?
I would hope not. I think, the lessons of last season were that some supporters are a little bit fickle, unfortunately, but it's easy to take that out of context with social media. Just half a dozen people spouting rubbish can make it look like it's something more than it is. It's not like back in the day where, heaven forbid, if you wanted to, you had to write to the Telegraph, or you had to actually shout on the Donny Road end if you wanted your opinion to be heard. I think it depends. You start in the season, it always helps. And in a weird sort of way, I almost think the off-field issues last season didn't help. It made at least some supporters more angsty, more desperate to get promoted, put them a little bit on edge in terms of what was happening at home, what was happening away. But I would say, in terms of obviously the decision to move on from Dean, it does set the standard that in terms of on the field, if people think last season was a failure, well then we've got to win the league. You've got to be looking at 95, 96 points. You can't be one refereeing decision away in the playoffs. It's shit or bust, basically. And I know Butler's been through that a lot of times in his playing career. But when you're the manager, when you're responsible for not just your own performances, but the entire clubs, the 20 players you've got, the staff, everybody, everything, that's pressure. And there will inevitably come a time when we hit a bit of a bump in the road this season, because that's just how football works. That's just how life works.
Talking about staff, sorry, Chairs. We talk a lot about Andy Butler, but the person behind him, John Schofield, I think he's doing great. And we know that he coached Butler at Rovers, didn't he? At Doncaster Rovers. And Peterborough, maybe, I think. And it seems like he's guiding him now in his managerial career, which I just think is top notch. And I think he's like a little unsung hero, because I always see him on the seats, in the dugout, and he's always shouting, he's always guiding Butler. So I think he's a little bit of magic that we needed as well.
No, well said. A bit of a wry smile from me there. If anyone's wondering who Ches is, that's another nickname that I have. So,
you have many.
Yes. What did you say to me earlier? I'm chasing the alphabet.
Yeah, you're going to identify as the alphabet.
Yeah, that's a nickname from my childhood. Not had that one in a while. Yeah, look, we look the real deal this year. We look a real deal off the pitch, on the pitch, in every kind of department. We look like who've got their stuff in order. Speaking with Michelle on Friday at the club, some really good bit of positive news coming out. Actually, the club will announce, I think this week, and we did have a blessing to announce this, don't we, that the restaurant will be opening back again in the daytime to the public. So I think the plan is for it to be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, the rest day on the Wednesday, just coinciding with when the club is usually shut. So again, more opportunity there, Gareth, for the club to make money. It's the only good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think we're just looking a lot more professional than last season. I know there were lots of ups and downs last season, but we are looking so much more professional on and off the pitch. And I think it's telling, on the pitch with the players and things. After the games, they're not coming up into the lounge and having a drink. Whereas last season, there were, bottles on the table in front of players and having a fair few drinks. But everything's just totally changed, and it's changed for the better. But yeah, it's a good thing, the restaurant being open. Hopefully, people will use it. I know before it's been open, and lack of use has meant it's not really been viable. So hopefully people come down and will use it.
Right, let's move on to the next section. We have our usual segment, the hero, idiot, and moment of the week. Becky, would you like to start us off with your hero of the week?
My hero is the little boy at the game on Friday. When the ball went out, he hid it for about 30 seconds. When Clooney was saying, hide it, hide it, he hid it under his stop and ran away. So he is my hero of the week.
That's a fantastic answer. Max, who's your hero of the week?
I mean, it's not as good as an answer to that, and I'm gonna cheat slightly because I've got joint heroes of the week. So part hero is Gareth, and the other one is a Scunny fan called Matty Mitchell. Because in the sort of madness of trying to get tickets for Scarborough, I know a lot of people were scrambling for it, particularly in the ridiculous way that the sale was run. It was Ticketmaster-esque from Scarborough, so congratulations. Very, very, very grateful for their help. As Becky said, I think it's one that Iron fans have been looking forward to since the fixtures came out. So hopefully the weather's kind to us as well. But yeah, no, thanks to Gareth, thanks to Matty for all their help.
Gareth, your hero of the week.
My hero of the week is Heroes of the Week. And it's just everybody being the people's princess, obviously. Just all the fans that have nominated me for the non-league Bible, best non-league YouTuber, and just some of the kind words that I've read. You know, it really means a lot. And so thank you to everybody that's, nominated me, voted, and for the words. It's been really nice. Thank you.
Well, wouldn't expect anything else from you there, Gareth. I am going to give the points there to Becky. There's only going to be one winner there. Definitely, he was the hero of the week. I absolutely love that. I wish he'd have just shelled it, though. That would have been even better. Maybe next time. So that's your hero. Who was your idiot of the week, Max?
I'm going to go for a non-football one that I sort of hinted at in my previous answer, and it's I think it's Ticketmaster. I wouldn't describe myself as a massive Oasis fan, but I think anybody who's connected to the internet or who's talked to anybody has known what's been happening with the Oasis reunion. But they're just bandits. Like the way in which ticket companies nowadays are able to unilaterally more than double the price of what they've advertised, what they're selling, dynamic pricing, lot of shite. The fees, the shoddy operation that they run when it comes to tickets, they're basically a monopoly in this country. I know that a lot of venues have massive issues with their customer services, and I've got no time for them. And they've been shown up to the country this last week as the shite bags that they are. Is that idiot enough for you?
Yeah, he was like John Major on his soapbox there.
You're going to have to explain that to everybody, aren't you?
I'm sure they'll get that. If not, they'll just Google it. Becky, who's your...
If John Major had stood outside Peterborough train station calling people shy bags, he'd have got more votes.
I agree. or if he'd pissed on the corner flags like, what's his name? Barry Fry. Right, Becky, who's your idiot of the week?
To everyone, mine's kind of like Max's, who got Oasis tickets, no names mentioned here, who sold them on for a shit ton of money and didn't give their family member one, even though they made a pact. So,
and that's definitely not aimed at anyone specifically. Or...
No, definitely not one of my nephews. Definitely not.
Okay, right. And Gareth, who's your idiot of the week?
Just before I go to my idiot of the week, with the dynamic ticket pricing that Max was on about, Scarborough missed out on loads of money. Loads. But anyway, my idiot, is the tragedy chanting at Old Trafford. The Man United fans, not all of them, chanting about the Hillsborough tragedy. The Liverpool fans, so they're my idiots, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but you know what it's about. But yeah, they're my idiots. Not all Man United fans, just the ones that were involved in the chanting.
I'm surprised nobody went there for the lad with a flare on Friday night. But I'm going to give the points to Gareth there for sure, and that's just out of order. Right, let's go for our moment of the week. Let's go for Becky. what was your moment of the week?
This one was a tough one. This one's personal. So my little girl, little Brooke, she played as a goalkeeper on Mansfield Town's football pitch yesterday. Some will say she was not very good. I just say she couldn't see the ball. But that is my moment of the week, watching her run out onto the pitch and then shouting she hates codheads as well.
How do you slag off goalkeepers, Barra? What would you say?
Well, look, all I would suggest is there are some goalkeepers that I know of, not mentioning any names, who have empty crisp packets for hands. I'm not pointing the finger at anyone in particular there. And at best can be described as having poppered on wrists. Again, not pointing the finger at anyone there.
Definitely don't live in your own house.
Definitely don't live in my own house and got popped on Sunday in the tournament final. Definitely not the case at all. Gareth, what was your moment of the week?
That flare in the Dre. No, I'm joking. Just the general game on Friday night. It just felt like, games of yore. It was just everything. Just had everything. The atmosphere, like I said earlier, teams wanting to play football. It was just Friday night in general.
That's such a people person answer.
So
God.
Yeah, what would you expect? I love that. Games of yore. It's not even I know days of yore is. I don't know what games is. I definitely just made that up. Max, what was your moment of the week?
So before I give my one, I want to give a very brief honourable mention, which I, for a weird sort of way, was the flare. So I was on the terrace with my dad for the first time in ages. He usually sits down, and when a couple of hundred, it sounded like, people started shouting "wanker, wanker, wanker." My dad is completely confused, turned around and gone, "What's going on?" And I've had to tap him on the shoulder and go, "Look up there, you swear word." And there was the flare, and he's gone, "Oh." So that for me was, if anything, it was worth the flare just for that moment.
Did he get a little bit worried that they were saying it at you, Max?
Yeah, that's right. 100%. He's like, but Max is sat over here. Why are you all pointing at that guy?
I think if he wouldn't have been so confused then. I think he'd have expected that. But no, my moment of the week was on Monday when we were drawn at home to Newcastle Town in the FA Cup second qualifying round. Naming no names, Jamie. Quite a few people did think it was in Newcastle in the northeast, as opposed to Newcastle under Lyme, just outside Stoke. So I hope nobody booked their train travel or any hotels or anything too dramatic. But I want to give a special shout out to the Newcastle Town club statement, which says, "Fantastic draw for Castle as former league giants Scunthorpe come to town." And then it says, "The kindly folks with the velvet bags have given us a terrific draw in the second qualifying round of the FA Cup." Now, kindly folks with velvet bags definitely sounds like a sexist insult on the internet. But just reading that club did make me smile. It just made me thought, well, maybe we are league giants. And I think it's going to be a new ground for every Scunny fan who goes. And hopefully we can have a bit of a magic of the cup, even just for one afternoon.
Well, don't give the farm away, because we do have a very special guest coming up on the podcast just after this segment. So let's not give the full farm away yet, Max. Right, I'm going to give the points to Becky for the emotional answer there. So Becky gets points. Becky wins. Becky wins the round on her full debut. Well done, Becky.
Thanks.
Well deserved.
Well deserved indeed. Well, I'm pleased to say we have a very special guest with us now. We've got Richard Scott, who works on the Moorlands radio station. They're a community-based radio station, and they cover all non-league clubs in the Staffordshire area. Richard, thanks for joining us today.
Not a problem. As soon as the draw for Newcastle Town was made, I think, like myself and everyone connected with football in North Staffordshire were really pleased for him. It's a big draw. Scunthorpe United are a big team. Certainly shouldn't be playing in this round of competition with their history. But here we are, and it's brought us together to chat on the podcast.
Indeed. Thanks very much for coming on. So a lot of the Iron fans that listen to this podcast will be thinking, who are Newcastle Town? I can say for almost certainty that when the draw was made, there was many of us that went, oh, fantastic, are they on the Toon? To do a quick Google search, and we've realised, Staffordshire it is.
Yeah.
So Newcastle Town, step 4, is it?
Yeah, step 4. So Northern Premier League West. So they're equivalent to local clubs from around your area, Cleethorpes Town and Winterton Rangers. Or is it Winterton Rovers? I can't actually remember, but they play at that level, obviously in the West section, because regionalised football means they don't have to travel. Yeah, the FA doesn't want them travelling that much. They have in the past actually played in a league where they had to go up to Cleethorpes Town. I can remember doing that with one of the other local clubs in the area that we cover, and I was doing a lot of work predominantly on them, and I had to spend the whole day going up to Cleethorpes for a very disappointing 2-0 defeat for our local side, who were Kidsgrove Athletic then. But obviously, we cover a multitude of non-league clubs, one of them being Newcastle Town, who we're also going to talk about now.
Yeah, well, I can tell you as a Scunny fan, most trips to Cleethorpes or Grimsby are unsatisfactory for us as well. So that's not a new experience. Well, thanks for that introduction, actually, because as I'm sure you're aware, this is only our 3rd season in non-league. And really, a lot of these things are new to us. Being in the second qualifying round in the FA Cup is something that we're only experiencing for the second time. And yeah, we're drawing teams that we're having to Google and all those kind of things. So it's definitely an experience for us. So what can you tell us about Newcastle Town?
So they're very much a community-based club. They've been at this level for, I think, coming up to about 15 years now. It was, 2011 they were promoted. They've had a couple of runs to the playoffs in that division, so to get into the to the Northern Premier League Premier Division, which is step 3. Last couple of seasons probably haven't been their greatest, but they seem to be on an upward, a bit of an upward turn of form. They've brought in Christmas last year, 2 days after Christmas, they brought in Neil Baker, the manager, and we'll come on to him in a bit because there's a bit of an interesting story with Neil, but he's such a lovely guy. He's the former Crewe Alexandra assistant manager who was there for quite a few years, so he'll know people probably from Scunthorpe United. He would have certainly coached against them in the past, but you go and come to the Red Industry Stadium, as it's known for sponsorship reasons. The name for it, I think, is Lime Valley. If you don't use sponsorship, which I really like that name, Lime Valley. It's, you don't get many Lime Valley stadiums out there, but the Red Industry Stadium, it is because of sponsorship. And of course, with this level of football, sponsorship provides a big amount of money. But I can tell you now that any Scunthorpe United fan making the journey down on the 14th of September will be given a very much a warm welcome by everyone at Newcastle Town. And I say that wholeheartedly. I do enjoy when I go over to cover them and speak to the people there. The chairman, Gavin Appleby, I must give a word to him because he's such a great guy. He's always friendly and he's always willing to come and have a chat with my guys. I say my guys, the people I work with on Moorlands Radio, and we've got him on our show tomorrow night about 7 o'clock, and we're talking about this draw in the competition. And I think we booked that within about 5 minutes or so of the draw being made public, and people go and actually realising we've got a former championship side coming down to the Reading Stadium in the second qualifying round of the Cup.
Well, exactly. It's just 15 years. Next month it'll be 15 years since we played Newcastle United in the league and beat them 2-1. So it's a bit of a change for us. Now, you just mentioned Neil Baker, and he was caretaker manager at Macclesfield, and I think he spent, as you mentioned, 5 years as assistant manager at Crewe Alexandra, working under Dario Grady as one example. What was the story you wanted to tell us then about Neil? Yeah,
so Neil was league manager, which we actually hadn't touched. He's a League Town legend. He's been a couple of years with the it's 2 spells with the club. Back in the 90s, he took him to the FA Trophy final. Went to Crewe, and then he come back a few years ago back to League. Anyway, he resigned from the League Town position about 12 months ago. I think it was 12 months to the day since his successor had his first game as manager. Anyway, fast forward to Christmas, he's appointed as the Newcastle Town manager. And then if we fast forward even more further on to the 1st of April of this year, Newcastle Town host Leek Town on Easter Monday. Leek Town need a victory to secure the league championship, which they go and do. But I know speaking to so many people from the Leek backroom staff who are one of our teams we very much predominantly cover because that's where our studios are based. So we do commentaries on their games home and away, and then we filter in our other local clubs with commentaries when Leek aren't playing. But anyway, so we were doing that game, and then I remember speaking to the Leek staff, and they were all saying, I think the one team they didn't want to face, or certainly the one manager they didn't want to face, was Neil Baker because he left no stone unturned. I think a lot of people probably thought Newcastle they were safe from relegation. They weren't going to get relegated, but injuries meant they weren't going to challenge for the playoffs at that stage of the season. So a lot of people thought, well, are they going to let Leek just roll over, go win the championship? But he didn't. He made it so tough. And I think on another day, I remember being there at the Red Industry Stadium on the day, and Newcastle could have easily have taken a point, which still would have meant Leek were going to win the league. But you want to go and win the league. But I think what just shows how classy Newcastle Town are as a football club was at full time when the Leek Town players and manager were coming off the pitch after their celebrations. They had a bit of a celebration on the pitch. Was Neil and Gav had a bottle of some description ready to present in the tunnel to the Leek Town manager, and I think that was really classy. And then in his post-match interview with ourselves after the game, it did actually get quite emotional speaking about it because Leek Town meant so much to him, and hopefully one day when he looks back on his time at Newcastle Town, it will mean equally as much for him.
That's a very classy touch, actually. So you just mentioned there about him leaving no stone unturned. We look at the league form this season for Newcastle Town, and I think it's 5 points they've accrued so far this season. Is that right?
Yeah, it's 5 points. I don't think the league form has gone particularly the wanted, but they've only suffered one defeat, which was a last-minute defeat on Bank Holiday Monday to Nantwich Town, who were localish rivals. They're just up the dual carriageway we have in Staffordshire, which connects Staffordshire to Cheshire, called the A500. They're at the top end of that Nantwich, so bit of a local derby, a bit disappointing, but mid-table in the league. It's early days to want to use a cliche, and of course still in the Emirates FA Cup, and it feels like they've been in the cup a long time because the first two rounds, because Newcastle had to play in the extra preliminary round way back at the start of August. They're still in that and going great guns in it as well.
Two final questions to finish then. So I think you've beaten Long Eaton 2-1 on Saturday to get to this point. So first question is, what kind of performance did Newcastle put out that day, and what can we expect from them? And the second question is, what's the furthest that Newcastle Town have got in this competition?
Yeah, so I went on Saturday. Probably wasn't their best performance first half hour or so, and Long Eaton United deservedly went 1-0 up, a low cross into the area, and I think Long Eaton's top scorer tapped it in at the near post, and then Newcastle got their act together and eventually pulled level just after the half-hour mark. They hit the crossbar, the rebound fell to the striker. That was saved by the goalkeeper, and then he eventually put the rebound into the guy called Tom Jones, who's their top scorer. And no, he's not the Welsh striker, but the Welsh singer, but they do play. It's not unusual when he scores at home on the green grass of home. So hopefully on the 14th of September, we'll hear it maybe just once. I think that would be fantastic for Newcastle if they could. But then second half, straight away into the second half, Neil must have said something to the players because they were straight out of the blocks and went 2-1 up. Their other striker and top scorer, Jake Avery, scoring that. And then really they should have made the game safe on the hour mark. Cross came into the substitute, George Lewis. He's a young lad, so I don't want to hammer in too much, but it was virtually on the goal line, and somehow he put it over the crossbar. And I think when I spoke to Neil after the game, he said it was setting his heart racing a little bit, but they survived a bit of a late onslaught and got through at the first 10 because the previous two rounds they had to face replays against teams who are they played Evesham in the extra preliminary round. They're same level but based in the Southern League, and then Westfields, who play a division below them. So I think they were pleased with that. And Tom Jones, who I mentioned there, he's scored in every FA Cup game, so he's scored in all the opening rounds and then scored in the original matches and scored in the replay. So I think he's one to look out for, as is Jake Avery, who I also mentioned. But looking at the Newcastle team as well, they're a group of young lads. There's no ex-pros making their way down the leagues to retire. There is a couple of lads who have played a bit in non-league, who've been with the club for a few years. Joe Slynn, the goalkeeper, he's been there for 5 years. Kyle Stubbs has got quite a lot of experience, who's the centre back. And just watch out for throw-ins from Kyle Stubbs. I don't want to give too much away of how Newcastle will play on Saturday. I'm sure Neil Baker and his management team won't be too happy if they did. But Kyle's got a long throw on him, very much like Rory Delap, one for a better term from the local area. And of course, Stoke City is not too far away from from Newcastle Town, and you probably will actually see the Bet365 Stadium, as it's now known as these days, the Britannia Stadium, for those old enough and prefer to know it by its more original names. And just touching on the furthest they've gone, it was the first round proper of the competition. They played Notts County way back in 1996-97. That game got played at the old, I was going to say the old Victoria Ground, but I think they might have moved to the Britannia at that point, and Notts County ran out 2-0 winners. They have been to the third qualifying round since. They got to, that's the furthest they've been, I should say. Sorry, that was 2003, 2004. So 20 years ago, they faced Ossett Albion, a 1-1 draw at home, followed by a 4-4 draw in the replay away at home, and then Ossett won 3-2. But they did get to this round. Sorry, they actually did get to the fourth qualifying round back in 2010, 2011. They lost 1-0 away at Vauxhall Motors, I think it was. And Vauxhall are a side who, of course, I think they famously knocked QPR out of the FA Cup once upon a time. And they have had a couple of runs to second qualifying round. Most notably, a couple of years ago, they actually went out to Congleton, and Congleton went on to play in front of the TV cameras against AFC Fylde in the next round, the third qualifying round, and Congleton were a kick away from winning that game against the side who went to win the National League North that season.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much for your time, Richard, and thank you for that quite in-depth analysis on Newcastle Town. So we know what to look out for on September the 14th.
Not a problem. And can I just say to any Scunthorpe United fans who are making the journey or thinking about making the journey, certainly do come down to the Reading Stadium. You will enjoy it, as you probably have enjoyed so many of your other trips into the unknown in your non-league adventure. And also looking forward to seeing you guys get back up into the Football League and putting all the past issues behind you.
That's great. Thanks very much, Rich. That's fantastic.
Not a problem.
Right. Well, that will nearly conclude the podcast. Just one thing to talk about before we finish. Over to you, Becky.
Yes, so the INL podcast are hosting another charity game. It is for little Evie, who we all know has undergone treatment for a brain tumour. It is on the 12th of October and it is at 5:45. So it is just after the Farsley Celtic match and it is at Bottisford Town. We are going against Real So Bad. And all the proceeds are going towards Ward 5 at Sheffield Children's Hospital. This is a cause really close to my heart. Some already know that I did actually lose my stepdaughter to leukemia when she was quite young a few years ago. And September is also Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, so it is perfect to mention this. Around 1 in 500 children will get cancer by the age of 14. So if you think that is rare, if you think about how many kids actually go to maybe a Scunny game on a Saturday afternoon, there's quite a few, if you think about it, that may get the cancer. So it's really not that rare, but we are trying to get as much money behind us as possible. There is a minimum donation fee to watch the game, and it is hilarious. I am gaffer for the day once more, so you will see me telling Max off all the time. The minimum donation is £2. We do have raffle prizes. So we have Bouncy Castle Harriers, a signed Scunny shirt, signed World Featherweight Champion Lee Woods boxing gloves. We are also sorting out sponsorship for all the players and sorting a way where you can enter the raffle even if you are unable to attend the game. So that is it from me. But please come along. It will be very good. And there's probably going to be a red card somewhere, probably Max.
I look forward to it.
He's feral.
Feral. Wow. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll have an update on the FPL in our next episode when we've got Marco back. So, once again, I've been Barry. I've been joined by Becky, Gareth, and Max. Thank you for listening to the Iron Hour podcast. Up the iron.